Well, hello everyone. My name is Jonathan Sargeant. I am fortunate enough to teach in practical theology here at St Francis College. I do that every now and then. And you have heard from esteemed lecturers this morning to get a taste of the kind of things that are taught here at the college. But now we're going to focus in a little bit on what the actual experience is of being a student at this place. What's it like to do this? What's it like, for instance, to maybe return back to study if it's been a while since you've done that? To help us do that, we looked for some helpful students to share. They couldn't make it, so we instead we got Harry. Harry, hi.
Hello. And
we've got Shelley. Starting into silence. And Dee is with us online, I believe, as well. That's Dee. Dee, you'll be happy to know your face looms large over all of us in the screen behind us in the studio. So don't feel daunted by that. Don't feel daunted by that. And I, for one, appreciate what looks like maybe a Star Trek background on that picture there. So that's very cool. I'll face in the other direction. Well, let's get underway and talk about this. I've got some questions for us to have a chat about. Hopefully we'll have some time at the end of this little kind of half an hour. If you have questions that you would like to ask of Harry or Shelley or Dee or of anyone else in the vicinity, and let's see how we go.
Yeah.
So our time is short, but to start off, let's get an idea of who we all are. My first question is, I'd like each of us to share one important thing that we should know about us, just so we can get to know who you are a little bit. And can I go to Dee first for that? Dee, tell us one important thing we should know about you.
Well, thanks for letting me be first. That's great. No pressure. So I guess one important thing about me is I'm studying part-time and I'm in the discernment program to explore the possibility of ordination.
College study as private students just for the love of learning and for other reasons. Some people might be in the formation program heading towards something else within the church. Excellent. Thank you very much, Dee. That's very helpful. And thank you for going first. Harry, can you help us out with this one?
An important thing.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Well,
Don't be self-deprecating.
So many.
No,
there's so many things. I'm one subject to go, so I'm very much an expert in studying here. And I'm a chaplain at a girls' school called St Aidan's at Corinda, and I'm a deacon, and I'm a dad, and other stuff, and I like Eurovision, which has just happened, and so that's all important things.
Excellent. I think that's 7 things, but anyway, that's fine. We can cope with that. Thank you very much, Harry. Shelley?
Nothing important. I'm a servant of the Lord Jesus in a little Anglican church at Deception Bay. I love it there. Somebody in the church told me that next time they do a census, I should put the church address down.
You're there very often. Okay. And the Deception Bay Parish, that's a parish I've been fortunate to visit a number of times, which is another thing lecturers sometimes do, go out to parishes to help out and do workshops and things like that. That's fun. Okay, let's get down to the student experience, shall we? That seems to be important. Can you tell me, all 3 of you are studying at St Francis College. How did that actually about in the first place in 25 words or less? And everyone's counting, so there's no pressure. Shelley, can you start us off with that? How did you come to decide this is the place I want to study at?
Well, God's got a sense of humour. And he's doing something, I'm not 100% sure what, but I figure that who am I to get in his way? So I'm exploring the possibilities of what the future holds, and study is a part of that, and it's very exciting.
Cool. Yeah, we'll get to the exciting things soon. Thank you very much for that, Shelley. Harry, how about you? How did you decide this was a place that you wanted to come to?
Well, I went to the cathedral, which I enjoyed a lot, and Dean Peter said that I should do study because I was interested in ministry in the church.
So, yeah, it was just natural. This
yeah. And in my sort of exploration of whether to study here, I found that it was sort of reflective of my experience of the church broadly, which was very positive at that time and still is.
Yeah, cool, good one. We'll get back to that too. That's good. Thank you, Harry. And Dee, how about you? How is it that you came to be studying here?
Done theological study before, wanted to continue studying. 8 words?
That sounds good. I don't know if we can get more volume out of Dee up there. That would be terrific. That probably was a terrific answer, but I couldn't actually hear it. So,
Well, she did it in less than 25 words.
yes. I always put these qualifications on things just to make it unhelpful. Okay, thank you very much for that, Adam. Thanks, Dee. Okay, let's move on. This idea of going back to study for some people can be a daunting thing if you haven't studied in a while. I wonder if that's been an issue for any of the three of you coming back to study. What was it like to come back to studying after maybe having a break? Anyone like to take us up with that one?
Yes, it was overwhelming.
Yeah, sure. What was overwhelming about it?
Well, I hadn't studied for 30 years and a lot's changed since then. When I first studied, computers didn't exist. So getting used to this online stuff has been interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just the whole change. Like, you know, when you finish study, you sort of don't think you're going back to it. So it's an adjustment, but it's exciting.
Okay. And what about things like having to go back to, writing essays and doing assessment and things like that? Was that a daunting thing?
Yes. Well, the first class I did, praise the Lord, I did it by audit because I can't even describe it. I was just so overwhelmed and I thought, how can I ever do this?
Okay, let's move on. It was overwhelming.
Yes, but
let's put the but in. Yeah, but
the people here, and I mean everybody at the college, the lecturers, the admin staff, everybody's just so wonderful and encouraging, and they'll get you through.
Yeah, so even if it is overwhelming, there's support. So
yeah, absolutely.
We're obviously selling something here, but that's fine. How about you? Coming back to study, maybe it was a shorter period for you, the time in between other things, but what was that like for you?
Well, I won't take it as a sign, but my study break was COVID. So I guess I was told to keep studying. But I wouldn't really consider myself very academic. I'm not really a essay person. I'm not a presentation person. So it was very, very stressful, but very grateful for the lecturers have been fantastic. Linda's been so helpful helping me pick subjects, and Eve is just heaven sent. She's fantastic.
Yeah, she's wonderful, isn't she? 3 cheers for Eve. Thank you for that, Dee. Now, the thing about assessment, of course, is, and I'm going to get to you, Harry. Good. The thing about assessment is, of course, that sometimes there are essays, sometimes there are presentations, but there are a range of different ways that the college uses to check people are learning and moving along the path up there, which is a good thing too. Cool. Harry, how about you?
Yes.
Going to study. Remember what that was like?
I do, yes. So I only had a 1-year gap in between my other degree and this degree, and I found it to be a very different sort of degree and a very different place to study. I was used to the factory farm of UQ, and I was actually struck very quickly, and I didn't actually understand it. I didn't get that the lecturers actually wanted me to succeed. That was very foreign as a concept, that they would be personally invested in me doing well in the course, and they weren't out to get me like I anticipated. So that was wonderful. That was a really positive thing. And being a smaller place than UQ, I think, a little bit tinier, where the class sizes are far more small, which I found to be, again, very different, but very good, because the entire experience of study was very relational, really. It was about the friendships with students and the bonds that you would create, the learning bonds, I guess, and also the journey you would go on with the lecturer as a person, but also as we explore this thing together. So, which is also, again, another good thing that I found is that sort of spirit of curiosity and the lecturers, in my experience here, aren't sort of trying to prove that they're experts, but rather are very aware that they're also learners and they don't have all the answers and they're not necessarily absolute authorities, even if they are experts. So, which I like, because I like to, disagree and be a contrarian. So the tolerance for that was very welcome.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's certainly true that each time a lecturer teaches a subject that they've taught before, it will be different because of the experience of working with the previous student group, if only to kind of make things better, but also because of what we all kind of learn together as we're doing that. It's a typical adult education thing, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really glad you picked up on that point, Harry, the idea of how we want people to succeed. And I wonder if that's kind of a way in which the college is different from much larger universities who the success or failure of students is by the by, and they just want to sort of move everyone through. But I hope that is a thing about St. Francis that, and I know I even say this to students in the first lecture of subjects, what can I do to help each of you to do the best you can do and learn the most in this subject? Because that's what it's about. We want people to learn, not just sausage grind.
Yeah.
That's my editorial comment. Okay, let's move on. Let's get very deep all of a sudden, because that's a nice shock to the system. This is a question, this is a big question. Because I come from an educational background, I think when you learn things, it changes you. It changes you, it grows you, blah, blah, blah. How would you say your theological study, even if it's a kind of in beginning phases, is growing you or has grown you as a person? And who wants to step up for this one first? I'm going with Shelley. Thanks a lot. Shelley, tell us, how do you think theological study has grown you as a person, changed you as a person?
I've only just started. I'm doing my second and third subjects at the moment.
Yeah.
But I'm blown away with the changes that are occurring in me and the things that I'm still discovering. So my first subject was a history subject. And I came into the class saying, I didn't even do history in high school, so I had no experience. But by the end of the subject, we could, even as students, see that we were starting to think like historians. Now, my introduction to theology, that was really scary because I've done nothing with theology. But it blows me away that you're guided through the course to be able to learn and grow. And so now I have permission to think for myself, which is exciting because, my younger experience was it was quite dangerous to even have an opinion. So now being able to explore and have a valuable opinion about different things is really exciting.
Yeah, excellent.
And so much more. I'm just learning so much in every class about what we're learning in class, but about myself as well. So the journey continues, and I love it.
Good one. It's interesting, isn't it? Because if you might have done like a chemistry degree or something, and in doing that degree, you learn how to learn about chemistry. And so one of the beginning parts of studying theology is learning how to learn about that, whether it's through a historical lens or whatever it might be. That's a great point. How about you, Dee? What would you say to the daunting question of how is this study changing you as a person?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm lucky enough to be a what do they call it? PK, priest kid. And I've done theological study before. So I came into this thinking, all right, I've got a good idea of what I believe. Let's roll with that. But what I love about St. Francis is your foundation is God, your foundation is Christ, and everything else is up for debate. So at least once per semester, I've got a class that is really growing and challenging me. So last year was my thinking theologically subject with Adam, and this semester it's definitely becoming flesh with Associate Professor Peter Klein. Oh my goodness. You do the reading, you sit in class, and then for like an hour afterwards, you're like, what? So you really, I feel like I'm being grown and I'm being stretched and I'm questioning what I believe and really understanding more about what the faith is. So yeah, you get grown, you get stretched, and no matter what subject you pick, don't go into it with any preconceptions.
I'm hoping that sounds like a good thing to people as they hear that. But it's true, isn't it? You know, our ideas are challenged. We can find ways in which our ideas new kind of foundation for things we already think, but also be stretched into new areas too. Okay, I'm doing a lot of editorialising. I'll stop that. How about you, Harry? What would you say how study has changed you?
Yeah, I think the thing that I've gotten from this college, more than any of the knowledge and more than any of the skills and how to learn, is the lecturers modelling how to think and learn with integrity, and with a genuine curiosity and with a genuine joy, because you're totally right that there is sort of this implicit fear of getting the right answer that there's kind of part of education most of the time, and I found particularly the Reverend Dr. Greg Jenks and lecturers like him are really good at pursuing what is right and doing so with integrity and learning how fun that could be and all the possibilities that open to you once you know that learning is a joyful thing and you're not going to be punished, or nothing bad's going to happen if you get things wrong. So it made learning more joyful and it made me a more free thinker, really. So a big gift, actually.
Yeah, wow,
when you put it that way.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And a nice shout out to Greg there.
Yes.
I always like to have that included in everything we do. Good one. Nice answers there. Okay, how about this one? We've talked about growing as a person. What just about the very practical things of studying here? We've already mentioned Eve, and she can certainly be mentioned again. What about the kind of resources that are available to you in your study here? What do you find the most helpful in trying to learn and achieve the things that you want to achieve in terms of the resources here at the college? Harry, can we start with you again?
Yes. I won't say the library because that's the answer that I suspect everyone else will say, and rightly so. But I think the greatest resource was talking to lecturers and being able to brainstorm with them and, again, have them want me to do well and help me get to where I want to go, which is, again, something that is not a skill that I had developed from being at UQ or at school. I wasn't used to talking to someone who knows what they're talking about and have them help me arrive at a place that is useful for myself. So learning how to do that and the resource of the actual teachers. So that is the real gift as well as the library.
Good one. I mean, UQ is a fine institution. We shouldn't run it down too much.
Sure.
There are differences
There
between
are
places to study.
That's right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that, Harry. And Dee, how about you? What would you say are the resources that help you the most in your learning?
Yeah, the online library is absolutely fantastic. It's pretty well stocked with anything you'll need, and if it's not, then our fantastic Eve is willing to help find an alternative, which is really helpful. Yeah, but that's really good for the online resources. But I would like to mention that the staff is great and the facility is great, but the grounds themselves of St. Francis are themselves a great resource. Like, you can just go to the chapel, you can spend time in nature around the trees and really ground yourself into why you're doing the study rather than just doing the study mindlessly. Like, I just need to get through the assignments. Like, take a moment to remember why you're doing what you're doing.
Sure. Yeah, I like the grounds here being mentioned because the environment in which you learn is a significant thing as well, isn't it? And there is a sort of a peace here, a tranquility that helps that happen. Good one. Thanks, Dee. Shelley, how about you? What would you pinpoint in terms of resources?
Well, it seems like my job is to mention the library. So I'll mention the library.
So that's right.
So you go up there and you look at a particular number, and there's a great long row of books all on the same number. It's just so well resourced. But there's an absolute gem up there as well, a hidden gem for most people until they...
The beanbag?
You see, people talk about AI and whether it's useful or not. I find it quite underwhelming because I've discovered EI, Intelligent. Eve is just a wonderful resource.
Yeah.
And so helpful and so gracious. And it doesn't matter how many questions I have. She always has a smile and she's always willing to answer them.
Yes, incredible patience that Eve has. And certainly students every single time mention Eve as a kind of a guide through their study here. So it's a great relationship to make. Good one, Eve. Okay, lovely. How are we going time-wise? Pretty good. So what about this? Studying here can be a full-time thing or a part-time thing. For many people, it is part-time. Fitting study in with work requirements, whether that is a placement, that you have because you're going for formation, or just your normal work and other parts of your life. What's that like, fitting those things together? Are there ways to do that you found that help you to sort of balance the work, study, life balance? Shelley, what do you think? Are there ways that you have found to balance that out? What's that like, having to do those things as well as study?
It certainly is a challenge. But it's a case of looking at priorities. And for me, this is a priority. My priest gave me a little bit of advice last year, which I held on to. He said, make sure you have a good chunk of time for the study. So it's intentionally setting that time aside to work on the study as well as everything else that's in life. So probably having a timetable is a helpful thing.
Yeah, getting a bit organised.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that, Shelley. Harry, what would you say in terms of balancing things like work as well as study?
I challenge. I had a significant challenge with that when I first started studying here, and I eventually understood after a few subjects that the way for me to do well here and to give it the time that it deserved was to actually be physically here, which I was fortunate enough to be able to do because I lived close enough to be able to. And I found that gives me at least 3 hours a week of dedicated learning time and even brainstorming for assignments and processing ideas that ultimately you would just have to do as homework for assessment later on anyway. So it actually gave me a good chunk of time to focus on my learning, and the rest I could fit in. The other, a few hours, depending on the week, could sort of slip in somewhere else. So it was when I was trying to listen to the lectures or watch them online, kind of, with different degrees of success, that I really struggled with the work-study balance. So that was my experience. Coming here made things so much easier, made it actually really possible and good to learn. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you for that, Harry. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Different people learn in different ways, and different people have different preferences about the kind of things we're talking about. It's, for some people, being in the room is a thing that really helps them. And I've talked to other students who say exactly the opposite thing. That for them, they like the freedom to be able to be in the lecture online, or even watch the lecture at some other stage, or re-watch bits, because those things are recorded as well. Cool. Thank you for that, Harry. And how about you, Dee? What would you say for this one in terms of trying to balance things that are happening in life as well as study?
Yeah, so I do try and take the words of Sister Jan into account when I talk about this, because I'm often saying, I'm so busy. No, I have a full life. I'm not busy. So since studying, I've gone from full-time to now casual work, just so I can really give studying the priority that I think it needs in life. And it is definitely a challenge to try and fit all the puzzle pieces together, but I feel it's best to do a little bit every day of studying and a little bit of recreational or something, a little bit every day. And setting up your desk like it is the classroom is really helpful. Setting aside that intentionality, like I am here to study, I am here to learn. So having everything that you need, and for me, fidget toys is very helpful. So it's just learning your learning style. That's really important. Online learning is definitely a challenge, but if it works for you, then find out the style that works for you with the life that you've got. Yeah.
Good, thank you for that, Dee. Yes, I often find that students who seem to do well are students who think a little bit about what their learning preferences are and how they learn and so on. And some of our subjects actually target in on that to help people out with that kind of thing. So I'm glad you brought that up. Thanks. Now, in a second, there will be the opportunity for people here in the room or other people online to ask questions of our real live students. But before that, just one more. Let's find a hard one. How about this? This could be kind of broad, but let's go with it. Here's the question: why would you recommend someone studying here at St Francis College? Why would you recommend it? What would you recommend, Harry?
Yes, I would recommend it because there is freedom in many ways. There's a freedom that this institution and the people that teach here understand that others don't. Like when Dee was talking about the grounds, we are part of the grounds. This isn't sort of the sausage factory that we all come to and then have to go through the trees on the way out. But rather we are people that are grounded in this beautiful place, and we come here to learn and talk and explore things. And it doesn't feel like we're just getting a job done. It feels like we're doing something that's part of everything else, which is really liberating in a way. It's a different attitude towards learning that's quite rare, I think. And permission to learn what I want to learn. Because people often say that university is restrictive because it sort of funnels you through, quite a narrow path. But I found that it focused me to explore the aspects of big topics in a way that I want to. So there's plenty of room to and flexibility as to how you approach each individual subject here and the different areas that you will focus on in your own assessment. So I never found myself getting bored with Christology or anything, because there was always a way to apply it to my own life that was going to be uniquely fascinating for me. So yes, that's why I would recommend here.
Good one. And these are big topics, aren't they? The things we learn can be fascinating, but they can be kind of crucial, foundational things about who we are as people as well. Absolutely,
yes. Yeah. I've always found that too.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Harry. Kelly, how about you? How would you answer the question that I can't remember now? Which one would you recommend? What would you recommend? So it was so long ago when I asked. Why would you recommend someone studying?
Well, before I came here, I saw the product of students who had been through here. And like, for example, the priest at my church studied here, and he's just amazing. But then coming here, there's just such a wealth of knowledge with the lecturers, and they have so much to impart and such a great desire to impart it that I feel like this is a place of privilege for us to be able to attend. And it's close to the train line too.
Wow, these lecturers, they sound great. Good. Excellent. Thank you, Shelley. Nice one. And Dee, how about you to round us off with this one? What would you recommend to someone to study here at the college?
Trying to narrow it down. The things that you study here will have real life implications for how you behave in your ministry journey, how you disciple others, and how you grow with God. It all connects, which is great. I love it when you learn something in class and then weeks down the line, you're like, oh, it just hit. It's fabulous. And it's great that the staff and the students that I've been studying with, everyone has that genuine care for each other. Like, we are the body of Christ, and they all want to see everyone succeed, and we all want to help each other grow. And it just feels like a little bit of, heaven on earth, all the discussions you're looking forward to in heaven, you're asking the disciples a lot of questions about themselves. So it kind of feels like that sort of environment, like we're all here together, we're all here to learn, and it's just lovely.
Good one. Thank you, Dee, for that. That's rounded up a whole bunch of things there. Awesome. Okay, here's our chance to ask practical questions, whatever kind of questions, of the students here, like the 9 times table. That's a hard one. Whatever it might be. Are there questions people have about student life, student experience here, online or otherwise?
Can I say one more thing very quickly?
Yes.
I also recommend studying here because I find that I can say all the weird things that I want to say, and it's actually.
All right, we'll stop there.
And I appreciate that. So
Yeah.
you can kind of go in bizarre directions, and it's actually entertained and appreciated rather than sort of just it being seen as annoying. So I like that.
So tell me what you mean there, Harry, when you say bizarre. You're kind of working out ideas.
Yes, working out ideas.
Playing with ideas to work out.
That's right. When Dee was talking, I was thinking about how. No, yeah, we'll say. I want to stop myself because this is not a classroom. This is a panel with normal people. But I was thinking about how it kind of does feel like we're grounded in some sort of eternity here, and there is a continuity of the heroes of the faith of old and the heroes of the faith in the future, and how we sort of feel that way because we are kind of in relationship with each other, and weird stuff like that. That's an example, and we could actually have a conversation about that, and it would be appropriate, and it would fit into what we're discussing. I really like that.
Yeah, I like that too. It's one of my favourite things.
Yes,
when you can tell a student is trying to work out an idea and play with an idea and look at it from different angles to work out where they stand on that particular thing.
Yes.
Because that is one of the things I think that stands out to me about St Francis College, that this is not a place where there's a exact party line that you have to fit in with, and the way to succeed is to work out what the lecturer thinks about a thing and write an essay like that. And in some places it is like that.
Yeah.
But at St Francis College it's not like that.
No.
It's about working out what you think about a thing, and the lecturer will help you on your path in that way.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And that sounds like a nice way to wrap things up. Any questions before we move on from here? Okay, good one. If questions do come to you for the rest of the open day time, feel free to grab someone to ask about those things. But I would like to say thank you to you, Dee, thank you, Shelley, and thank you, Harry, for the challenging thing that you've just done. You've helped us see things from a human perspective, which to me is a really helpful thing to do. So thank you very much. Can we give some thanks to these people?